Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how to make a steak sandwich, or what might be known as a French dip by some people. It's a simple way to do it. I am not making anything from scratch. This is all made off of store-bought items. What I'm doing right now is I'm grilling some bell peppers and some onions on a griddle, and I've cut the bell peppers and onions up into slivers and slices and chunks, mostly diced, but not exactly diced. It's some pieces are bigger than others, but for the most part they're little tiny pieces, pretty well shredded. We're going to be using a SteakUm brand steak. There are other brands. You don't have to use SteakUm. It just happens to depend upon what you find in your own little grocery store around you. And I've got enough here to make a couple sandwiches, which is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to demonstrate one of them. What I've done is I started some butter here on my grill, melted butter, and I've put onions and bell peppers into it. I can also include mushrooms, which I think I'll do. I'm just opening a jar of mushrooms and putting a few of them on the grill with the onions and bell peppers. It will take the onions and bell peppers longer to cook than it will the mushrooms. But I'm just putting enough on there for one sandwich at this point in time. And I'm sautéing them in butter. Now, that's going to take a few minutes. What I've also done is I've gotten some steak rolls, which are like these. They were not cut. I had to cut them. So what I did is I cut them about 3/4 of the way through, and then I'm going to open them like that, because I'm going to do this by putting the sandwich down like this and picking it up off of the grill like this. I have some provolone cheese, okay, which will be topping our sandwich. And I am simply using a SteakUm sandwich, which once these cook up just a little bit, I will be putting on the grill with them. I also bought a package of Au Jus gravy, which I have in a pan back here ready to be heated up. And all it's going to do is make the dip for the French dip. As I said, this is a real easy recipe, all store-bought items, nothing special, nothing homemade, all done with what's at hand. But this makes a very hearty meal. And as you do this, like I say, you want to put some butter on here so that it can saute in the butter. The butter, believe me, will add a lot of flavor to this. The steaks only take maybe a minute to cook. It doesn't take very long, but it takes several minutes for the onions, bell peppers, and mushrooms to cook up. You want them what they call caramelized, which you'll notice there are some pieces in here that seem to take a little longer than others. Well, there's some of them a little thicker than others, but the idea is to get them all to a almost transparent state. When they get there, you know that it's time to put your steaks on. And what I do is I just make a pattern of them here about the size of the steak, or maybe just a little bit smaller. And when I'm ready, I will put cheese on there. So I'm going to get my cheese out and get it ready, because it won't be too long. and I will get a couple of slices ready. And what I like to do with mine is split it halfway. And I'll take a couple of slices like this and split them. And then what I will do is lay that there and that there. You notice that the slices of cheese overlap each other somewhat. And then I lay the steak down on top of that. Now, because I like a little more meat on my steak sandwiches, I'm going to cook a second steak off to the side here. By sliding that one over a little and placing another one here. And since I'm making two sandwiches, I will be using one steak, one full steak and half of another. Now you see what I'm doing is I'm just taking the knife and running through here. That's very tender and easy to cut, so it doesn't take a lot of effort. And then I flip it over, and you can see that the peppers and onions are cooking pretty well. Now you can even take and chop up the steak a little bit if you'd like. And as it cooks, bring it on over here and put it in with the other. That way you have 1.5 steaks. I'm also going to be making French fries as well as the Au Jus gravy, which I'm about to turn on. French fries, I'm just going to drop into hot oil. Now this has been on for some time, so I'm going to do this slowly. And that's for a couple of people. Okay, now I gather that all up kind of in the middle. Take one of my buns, open it up like this and spread it over top of. Slide my spatula underneath and just pick it right up inside the bun. And I get most of it, not all of it. And then I'll go ahead and make the second trip and get that. And there's our steak sandwich, okay, which I'm about to put on a plate, so that we can put it together with French fries and a little Au Jus gravy. Meanwhile, I'm going to throw some more peppers and onions on the grill here. And what I did is I put that other piece of steak on here so that it doesn't overcook too much. And we'll let that go for a few minutes. And I might need a little bit more butter on there because I see it's not quite so moist anymore. So I'm going to put a little bit of butter. About maybe a tablespoonful of butter, and I put it in where it's going to be with the veggies and the meat so that it will melt right into them. And for now, I just let the onions and peppers grill. I try to keep this piece warm by laying it on top of, but I will have to move it around a little bit. Mind you, the thinner you cut your onions and peppers, the quicker they're going to cook. I do like my onions thin. And now I already have this pretty well down to where it will cook. Excuse me. Okay, we'll be back in just a minute. You've seen this part. I'll get back again when I make my next sandwich. This is going to have to cook for a few minutes. Stick around. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Okay, and here we have 2 steak sandwiches, 2 bowls with Au Jus gravy, and some steak french fries. This all took about 15 minutes to prepare. It was easy to do. All the fixings were there at the store, ready to go. All I did was just put them together. Just a symbol of how easy it is to cook. Thanks. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you again in another video.